Hey everybody, welcome to this Pure IP Enterprise Voice Coffee Club. This time we're doing an internal one and we're going to get into the world of a contact center. I've got Michael. Michael, do you just want to introduce yourself? I think it's the first time you've been on the Coffee Club.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tom. Michael Hawkins, Director of Solutions Engineering for BCM1 and Pure IP. I've been with the company a little over a decade, and I'm based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And my team is responsible for helping craft the solutions to solve the problems that our customers have.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have this conversation. We had a bit of a prep call and we probably should have recorded the prep call because we really got into it. But we're going to talk about contact center and Teams and UCaaS and all the different options. But how would you open up this conversation, Michael? Where are we as an industry in terms of Teams and contact center options?
Yeah, and I'll try not to talk with my hands, but I think a lot of the easy, low-hanging fruit has already been picked from the industry tree, if you will. The easy migrations, the stuff that just slid right over square peg, square hole, really is already done. At this point, we're starting to have more in-depth conversations around, I can move my knowledge workers, but I've got this contact center attached to it. And it's got all of these different business integrations that are critical to what we do to our customer experience, how we service our customers, or even our internal people. So those are honestly a lot more interesting conversations because they deal with business problems, which we love to solve. And diving into those and unpacking the requirements, what we're finding is one size doesn't really fit all, even within an organization. So those are really fun things to talk about and unpack with the customer.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It definitely resonates with what I see here as well. Like the easy knowledge worker stuff, like slid over to UCaaS, and both kind of a customer requirements for a knowledge worker seem to get less. We went through this phase of I need the crazy 160 PBX features to actually making calls is fine. But then there's this group of workers who need slightly more than that. And then there's kind of full on big contact center. And there's a whole range of things in between that are really interesting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that we're uncovering through our conversations with all the customers that we get the opportunity to speak with is I may have selected something or overbought. To your point, I've got a contact center and it's got 160 features. We use one channel voice and maybe chat. There might be a more cost effective way to engineer that, still accomplish all of the solve for what you're trying to solve for.
Yeah, definitely. And we're in a really interesting spot because we've got multiple options for customers. So we obviously do multiple UCaaS platforms, but if we zero in on Teams where I spend most of my time, you've got what's in the box. So you've got straight native auto attendants and hunt groups. We've then got in the recent times the Queues app, which is a premium add-on. Then we've got all these API-driven ecosystem certified solutions. And then interestingly from Microsoft now, we've got kind of the Dynamics 365 big contact center option, or you've got your Genesys, your Five9, your other big contact centers. And we can obviously do connectivity to any and all of those. So we've got customers in each scenario and not really like you just have to buy the big contact center or you just have to go with what's native.
Yeah, and I think that's really where the magic of what we do comes in and having those business conversations to understand the requirements. Because to your point, maybe an auto attendant gets it done. Maybe we need to step that up to a voice and chat channel like within Teams. That can still be very cost effective for I don't know, an internal service desk or help desk.
Mm-hmm.
When we start kind of transcending into the customer experience levels and you want to bring in multiple channels, maybe it's WhatsApp, maybe it's a live interface on your website that people can chat back and forth. I think that's where that extend opportunity fits nicely within the Microsoft ecosystem. That's what our Teams native contact center is based on.
Mm-hmm.
And that fits a large chunk of what people are doing. But to your point, there's still additional levels beyond that with the Unify and Unity and the ability to do deep, big contact center or big boy contact center stuff. It's great to have these conversations around businesses, but we all are around business requirements and needs, but we also don't want to solve for something that's already been solved. So that's why we have all those pre-pinned connections up to the big contact centers. So if you've spent multiple years integrating your business into these platforms, we don't necessarily want to change that direction, but we might be able to take subsets of those users and find more cost-effective solutions that still accomplish what they're looking for.
Yeah, and what's nice in the world of SIP and modern connectivity is if you port your number ranges into us and your connectivity into us, we can then slice and dice that range. So actually previously, if you had it all trunked to a particular big contact center, that's kind of challenging because the number set is going over to that system. But if we own the range, we can actually carve some things off and say, well, for these use cases, we can take it back to an extend contact center on Teams or even back to native, and you're not locked in. You could later on be like, oh, that group have upped their requirements to omni-channel. They've upped their requirements. They want to do AI first. They want to do some
Yeah.
clever stuff. Now we can move without disrupting the numbers, which is really good, I think.
And I think the AI piece is a really great portion of the contact centers as well, with understanding where your data lives and picking those. Maybe Teams is the best solution for you because of that Microsoft substrate that connects all of Office 365 and your data to Copilot that can grab that and give you actionable information. So where your data lives is important too, and that's not the same in every organization as well. So unpacking that and figuring out what's most important to the business intelligence is equally challenging.
Yeah. I think another thing that's really interesting is how extensive the capabilities are of those team certified contact centers now. So even I have done this conversation where I'm like, in the box, kind of extend and certified contact centers, and then big contact centers, quote unquote. But actually, we're seeing a lot of innovation in ecosystem contact centers, and they're really pulling features in the AI, the omni-channel. You mentioned the kind of the multiple types of connectivity and modality. Like there's some really impressive features coming through, and not necessarily hitting the what you would have thought in the olden days, the $150, $175 an agent. Way more cost effective, but super powerful still.
Yeah, and that's really what I think most of our customers are clamoring for, is the ability to connect with their clients the way that they want to connect with them. To your point, more and more features are being added to help enable that, which I think has made the ecosystem as a whole a lot easier to find solutions that are cost effective that fit what you're doing.
So what can we do with customers? Obviously, we're well known globally for connectivity, but we actually have services that go beyond that, don't we?
Yeah, most certainly. This is again where that business conversation comes in, but we have multiple ways to solve for problems. So if it's an SMS specific type conversation where you need AI driven features or automation or bots, well, we can definitely do that point solution. If it's something like compliance call recording, and that's with maybe sentiment analysis and some redaction of capabilities, that's something that we can accomplish as well. When you start taking all those different point solutions and tying them together, that's when we start talking about our Teams native contact center that kind of pulls all of those pieces together. And if for some reason we really extend beyond that with deeper integrations, we can look at how do we trunk into one of these larger systems, or maybe utilize Microsoft Dynamics.
Awesome. And how do we have that conversation with the customer? Right? Like we're talking, all different sizes of customer here. So some customers will have an owner of that subset of the business, or often you'll have different owners of different parts of the business that have contact center requirements. How do we work with the customer to kind of pull all that information together and help with strategy?
Yeah, so that's a really good one, because different organizations have varying levels of information at their fingertips. Some people are 6 months into the job and trying to unpack like a sleuth what has happened over the past 20 years in their organization, and others have been there since its inception. So those are going to be two very different conversations. If we can take the interview route, I think that's probably the best way to go. If they have that knowledge accessible and then we can extract that from them, that's always the best way. But sometimes there's a PBX buried in a closet that no one knows how it works, what numbers are associated with it, how the call queues are set up. We do have technologies that we can use to help unpack that for the customer and create that roadmap of, I know you don't even know exactly what you're doing now, you know where you want to get to. Let's go ahead and analyze where you are and then create that roadmap or bridge.
I love that, because that's super common. Like these systems obviously change hands over time as people change roles, new people come in. So it's very rare you hit a customer where they're like, here's an exact map of exactly what's going on with our business and exactly all the call flows. So yeah,
here's my
diagrams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calls come in, somebody answers them, business happens. Awesome. Well, Michael, thanks so much for taking us through that. It's really good to hear from your point of view what's going on with those different customer opportunities. And if organizations want to get in touch and have a conversation with you and the team around their kind of strategy and options, what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, so we have an email set up. It's seemail@bcm1.com. That's our solutions engineering group. feel free to reach out to us. That goes to my entire group. And Tom, I want to say thank you for having me on this program. This is one of the most fun conversations that we get to have now because of all the strides that Microsoft's making. The solutions are available, and knowing how to put those in for our customers in the right way, and then seeing the results is one of the most rewarding and satisfying things that we get to do in our jobs.
Awesome. No, thanks so much. Appreciate you having on, sharing the insights. And yeah, we'll definitely jump on again and have a discussion on one of the other big topics next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.